All right, we're getting started with the Power Hour for May 8th, 2018. Today we're going to talk about farming, and we also have Mike Flanagan here with Movement Mortgage, who's going to kind of give us some updates on some cool programs that are going on to try to help you guys convert more leads, and we'll also talk a little bit about what their marketing program can do to help you with your farming as well. So thanks for stopping in, Mike.
Happy to.
What's going on in the mortgage world? What's good?
So another fast and furious spring market. Anybody who's out there, multiple offers, every house, it seems like anything worth buying. When I met with Tracy and Jess a week ago, we kind of, went over the gross aggregate of stuff that we can help you with in business planning. And we kind of were like, it's a lot. You're going to want to pick your niches and different stuff like that. But we're with the new brand rolling out with the Lux Group, we're going to start working with you guys. And this is the first thing I handed out to people in the room, or actually the second thing. We have Agent Marketing Academy. It is a curriculum developed by our national sales trainers, real estate agents, bold coaches, different kinds of coaches in the industry on your profession. And it's a 1-hour class. We're going to start offering it to Lux Group's teams, or, as a whole. We'll work out a schedule of when we're going to come in and offer them. It's a progression of, right now there's 5 modules. The first one that we kind of start with is millennial real estate marketing. They are going to be your business coming up. They have entered the housing market at a glacial pace, whether it's because of student debt or what they saw in 2008 and the housing crash before, and saw their parents lose their homes. Who really knows? There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, but we have a course that will show you what they're looking for, how they're going about their decision making. And it's not entirely what you would think. It's not all technology driven. It's a little more granular than that. So this is the first one. We've got a series of them that we do: video marketing, Facebook Live, the new rules of real estate marketing, social media, how to make your listings more shareable on social media. This is all stuff you're going to have to master going forward. It's just where everything is pushing and going. So we're going to, offer to help you guys out with this. If you want to get more into the product guide and what we have, a lot of your teams enjoyed our movement assistance program, which was our old down payment assistance program that ended at the end of the year. We couldn't get it pulled together with Fannie Mae to continue it. And we also knew that this was coming. So this is the other flyer that I handed out to those in the room. Mass Housing offers an extremely similar program. It's called the Mass Housing 100. It is down payment assistance up to 3%, which means your borrower can finance a $400,000 home 100% and not have to bring in down payment.
Up to $400,000? Up
to $400,000 without bringing $1 in for down payment.
How do they get that down payment assistance?
So it's in the form of a second mortgage. It is not a grant. That's a big difference. Our old one was a grant. This is a second mortgage. It is a 1% fixed rate, 15-year term. So it is nearly interest-free. It is extremely reasonably priced. And if I had more people in the room, I would maybe I'll do it on the whiteboard and leave it for you guys to look at when you're in and out. But you can almost have a payment that is lower on 100% financed $400,000 home with Mass Housing than you could with a 3.5% FHA traditional financing. So explore this opportunity with us. First-time homebuyer cannot be on title to any other property.
So this is for first-time homebuyers.
First-time homebuyers only. First-time homebuyer defined as someone who has not been on title to a property in 3 years. It is income restricted. Same exact as our MAP program, 100% of the area median income. If you need help looking that up, we can give you the search tools. The easiest way is just to go to homeready.com, and it piggybacks off of Fannie Mae. So
what is that roughly?
So in Worcester County, almost exclusively, it's $85,700. So just under $86,000.
For combined or for
borrower income? Only what's on the application.
Okay.
Not household income. So qualifying income. So you don't have
one
to deal.
One of the family members is going to put the mortgage in their name.
Yeah. What I tell people when you have these applications, get me everything. Have anybody that's willing to borrow do the application, and then I can delete off what we don't need. So if
you can use the income from one and the credit from the other.
Negative. We can only, it has to be credit and income from one borrower, credit and income from both. You know, we're going to take the lower of the two mid scores if you have two borrowers on it. So that's why I say give me everything, because if one person's, you know, got suspect credit, the other person has okay credit, we can kind of split them up and get the other person off. If they're close, you know, if they both make 43 grand and we're like, are we right there? Let's get them both on so that we can see if they actually do exceed that limit, and then we can delete off as we have to. But if you have two borrowers and both make 80 grand, we just need to use one or the other. And
what's the minimum credit score?
Great question, Jen Rue. It is 660 for 41% DTI.
660?
Yep. 680 for 50% DTI. If you have anybody that is 640 in the ballpark, send them our way, because we can often find the 20 points somewhere with rapid rescoring and stuff. So.
Okay. So, I mean, what? Take a teacher making 70 grand. What kind of house do you think they could buy?
I mean, it depends on their debt load, obviously.
Yeah.
Let's say it's, you know, a $300 car payment.
Yeah.
You know, $500 in student loans. You're talking, you know, they'd probably be able to get into the 300,000 range, you know, just back of the envelope math. Again, depends on debt load. If they got nothing, they could probably hit near the county limit. So it will finance. That's the other question. It will finance up to the county limit. So you could go as high as 451, 400, whatever it is. But the down payment assistance caps at 12 grand. So then they would need to bring 3% of that 51,000. So basically 100% financing up to 400 grand. They'd have a small down payment requirement up to the county limit.
Gotcha.
And if you need particulars run, just reach out to us.
So what's the best way for agents to kind of advertise and say, hey, you know, just say, hey, we have options for 100% down.
Yeah, so you want to be careful with this on social media. And we've run into this in the past, and some of your agents know this. If you put on your Facebook that you have 100% financing, you know, don't need necessarily perfect credit, you're going to get everybody with a 580 credit in the bankruptcy that is going to try to buy a house. Like, I don't know where that behavior comes from, but they love free money, and they love to think that there's some loopholes that we're exploiting. We're not. We're just using government programs and going from there. So I would say, you know, rent conversions are fantastic. Like, hey, you're thinking about renting? Let me show you how you could buy a house for less upfront and less monthly. You know, if you get a seller credit for the closing costs and we're providing the down payment, you know, they're going to need money for deposits, but they could potentially get that back if the credits are enough. We can definitely get someone into a house for less than first month's, last month's in security deposit on rent.
Right.
So, and then, you know, renters, you can kind of sift through them from there. They're either renting because they have to and they have some previous credit event,
right,
or they're just renting because they don't think they can afford it. Or, you know, maybe there's the ones that move around a lot and stuff, and
right,
buying a home's just not right. But most people, the barrier to entry is buying the home. And there's so much misinformation on the internet that they kind of get discouraged. So, you know, first-time homebuyer classes, if you can get butts in the seats, it's a good thing, but you can spend a lot of time trying to get butts in the seats for people that are kicking tires. So I'm happy to do them if you want to, but, you know, we'd obviously have to get some people in the room.
Personally, I think that you're better off doing, you know, putting the intriguing posts out there, like low to no down, you know, home loans available, you know, talk to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To have the one-on-one conversation. Because no matter what, if you put 20 butts in a room, you know, you spend a ton of money marketing, and 3/4 of those people are tire kickers, or, have a lot to work on anyways. I think if you can get the individual inquiries, then you can have a one-on-one, because either way, you're going to have a one-on-one conversation with them, even if they come to a home buying seminar. But
yeah, and if you need help crafting some, statements that we think will drive traffic, we're happy to work with you on that. I think you're right. Something like, looking to buy, but don't have the upfront investment, or, don't have the down payment. Talk to us. We have programs that will help you with that.
Right.
Obviously more concise and less mumbling, but
right. Yeah. Okay. If anybody needs help on that, let me know. What other things you got?
Last thing, firefighters, teachers, nurses, anybody in that public service sector, they don't make a ton of money, but they want to live in the communities where they work. We had a lot of success with the MAP program with teachers and, civil workers. If you get one person, think about politics, when anybody needs a bill moved, they go to the teachers and they go to the firefighters. It's because they know everybody, they know the community, they motivate people. If you can get a couple of those people on your side, show them a better way to buy a home, then they're going to be your advocates for you and push this program. What else do we have? So mass housing is actually pretty robust. Look at your business plan and where you're pulling business. If you're someone that deals with VA clients quite a bit, every VA client that wants to buy a condo has that general roadblock of, is the condo VA approved? So mass housing actually has another 100% financing program only for veterans that they can buy condos with. It just has to pass normal Fannie Mae financing. It's called Operation Welcome Home. So if you have a vet that's looking to buy a condo and doesn't have down, that's another option for them. I've talked to Tracy just about this too, but anybody that wants to kind of focus on that, I have a lot of VA experience, so I know the VA product inside and out. Massachusetts is unique. There's veteran service officers in almost every single town, and towns will share them. So if you can get in front of VSO officers, they will, again, push this product for you. When a veteran goes to apply for a home loan and can't get through their VA benefit for one reason or another, the first person they generally call is their VSO, and the VSO will then say, hey, well, call this guy, Mike. I literally get calls from turndowns from USAA and Veterans United because they don't know the product ins and outs, and they even have overlays for veterans, which is kind of counterintuitive. You'd think that they would do the raw VA, but because they're not high volume mortgage lenders, they have some roadblocks in there, and they're priced exorbitantly. So we're priced better, we know the product better, we have more outlets for them. So if you ever want to talk to a VSO or drop some marketing off, we have all this co-branded. You can get on our website, Total Expert. Let me know if you want to join in on that.
Yeah. So how do they get on Total Expert? They just have
email
to
me and I'll get you a link. If you don't have my email, it's mike.flanagan, FLANAGAN. You can also get my name on your website at movement.com. But we can get you Operation Welcome Home. We can get you Mass 100. We can get you all this stuff co-branded.
So Mike.Flanagan at what?
Movement.com.
I have a VA loan right now who's trying to look. That's only if they get rejected like that.
No, it can make more sense in some situations. Like, if they think they're going to move again, their VA benefit, you can only have one home on the VA benefit. So, it sometimes doesn't make sense to tie it up in a home if you know that you're going to move again in a short period of time. So you can have a Mass Housing 100 and a VA loan at the same time. VA clients have to have their spouse on the loan. That's it. About a spouse or surviving spouse. This can be a fiance, girlfriend, whatever. So friend, you know what I mean? As long as they're going to occupy, we can get around that issue.
So he was thinking about buying a condo, so it might be a better idea to not.
That is the number one way that I use it, because you're going to run into a seriously restricted pool of homes, or you're going to be waiting 8 to 12 weeks to try to get them VA approved. So VA condos are a lot like FHA condos. They're not exactly the same, but there's a national repository of which ones are approved. You can go online. If you need that link, let me know. We can send you the link to see. Yeah. But you're gonna run into places that just aren't VA approved, and either the HOA or whoever doesn't want to go about it. But we will. That's another thing. We'll help you get them VA approved if you want to. I wouldn't wait till you have one under contract, FHA and VA, because sellers aren't gonna want to wait 6 to 12 weeks for a project to get approved by HUD. But if you know that they're interested in one particular complex, let me know. I'll reach out to a listing agent that has one for sale. We'll get it approved ahead of time, and then they just have to wait until one comes on sale. Which kind of leads me to the next thing: condos, renos, huge opportunity. We will approve condo projects without ever having a buyer for them. I've done a presentation in here on that in the past. We have our condo and renovation seminar on May 21st. We just did one. I think I sent everybody here emails, but I don't know if it was exit. It got lost. We did one in Worcester. The next one we're doing is in Franklin on May 21st. I spoke with the branch manager in that market, and she put 10 seats aside for me for Lux Group people only.
Okay.
So if you want space, let me know. I do need to RSVP for it so I can pay my fair share.
So this is a condo?
Condo and renovation seminar. It's the heads of those departments with Movement Mortgage. They're coming out. They will give you everything you've ever wanted to know about those two products. These are the guys that make the rules. So if you ever wanted to, learn the ins and outs of it, I can help you with strategies. Nadine and I talked about a client that's looking for low priced homes. She's budget restricted, and the renovation product can be an awesome way to not spend every weekend showing someone $115,000 homes.
Right.
So, we can kind of, again, this is all stuff that Tracy and Jess and I talked about last week. I want to help you guys business plan, and I don't mind doing these seminars and how I'll give you the strategies that have worked in the past and things that we've seen done. And then you go out and run the playbook. I got tons of playbooks for these different, niches. So let me know.
I would say the best thing to do for agents is decide what, start with one. And then if you want to get into others in the future, you got to start somewhere. If you say, hey, I really like the idea of renovation loans because, there's a lot of crappy homes, and instead of going out and multi-offer and having to go over asking and having zero equity in the properties that they're purchasing, you can find these homes that with 20, 30,000 renovations you'll have some equity in. So it's to me, if I was a first-time home buyer, that'd be the only thing I'd be looking at is renovation properties. So whether it's that or, hey, I really like working with veterans and I want to really focus on that, or it's, I want to work, focus on condo projects and getting them approved. Because when we're talking about farming, if you're not farming a geographic area or a niche, I think condo projects are certainly one that you can go after, especially if you can get them approved and you're the resource that helped that condo project get approved for financing, which will help them with sale prices and increasing everybody in the condo association's equity very quickly. It's, you've got a building and you know exactly what the addresses are. It's very easy to, identify your farm versus looking inside a town or in an area of town or whatever. You can easily market to and get known very quickly in a condo project. So
if you go to a listing appointment and you tell the prospective person selling, hey, I've already got this project approved for financing. So, others can probably finance in here too, but we know worst case scenario, there's one lender that will do it. So, and we're competitively priced. We're, in the top 3 in the market price wise. We're not, charging an exorbitant fee to do this. It's just that it leads to more transactions for us and quick turnover, and we can close more deals more rapidly. But if you go in there and you're like, hey, we've got this approved for financing, or we will get it approved for financing. You think first-time home buyers are coming in here a lot? We'll get it approved for FHA financing. We'll cover the cost. We don't need your seller to pay for this stuff. We'll do it. We can really, the next person that goes in and they're going to say, well, I can put it on MLS. I can boost it on Facebook. I know X, Y, and Z. You're actually bringing something tangible to them that is like, this is of cost and this is of value, and this is going to help you sell your place, quicker, faster. It's going to be, is this a huge value prop in downtown Boston where a condo is selling in an hour? Not necessarily. Right. It's going to go for cash anyways. But it is a huge value around here where some of the condos just, especially ones that have issues. Bring me ones that you know are non-warrantable, or someone has said they're non-warrantable. Quite often, that's either a waiver that needs to be filed with Fannie Mae that a lender's not willing to do, or it's something silly like they're not putting enough money in reserves, but they're putting way more money than they have to in driveway maintenance. Some special assessment for driveways. Like if they just look at their budget appropriately, and that's what our condo department does. They will help people do that. If it's something, again, reno condo, I highly recommend you jump on one of the 10 seats we have in the Franklin. I know it's a little bit of a hike, but every single time we have that event, I do probably 4 or 5 renovation deals 30 days after from the people that were in the chairs.
What's the date for that again?
That's May 21st.
Okay.
I sent you the email.
Yeah, I'll forward that to everybody today.
1 o'clock, maybe 1 to 3.
Okay. So as far as any of those niches go, that fit very well with, the mortgage end too, because a lot of times we end up being the link to help people get access to something that they didn't know was available, that you can work with Mike. If you decide one of these areas is a niche you want to work, I think the best thing to do is have a conversation with Mike and make sure you get on the Total Expert program, because there's some great co-branded marketing materials that you can print out. You can just print them, right? You can print
them. If you want the professional, like glossy paper print, just email me. Hey, I want 25 of this flyer. We'll order them for you. It's at no cost to you. We'll have them shipped right over to the office you're at.
Right. So if you got a listing that they would work well on,
listings. The Mass 100s, the different kind of product flyers work well. I think there's over 1,500 options in there, so there's a ton of content.
Right. It's just pretty much they upload their picture and their profile and they're ready to go.
Yep. You need your real estate license number, your picture, logo, and boom, it'll automatically take care of it for you. If you have a custom piece that you want done, reach out to me. It takes about 10 days to get it, but our designers will work up almost anything that you need. So if you do want something specific to VA in Shrewsbury, let us know. We'll send it to compliance and have our designers do it.
So maybe next time we'll come in, we'll go through the profile, the Total Expert, and just show what the options are on that.
So if we wanted to send out a market analysis to our firm, would you want to partner with that? Sold and
there's a lot that we do through that. So look at it. There's just sold flyers. I'll show Tracy after I leave here, but you can do every door direct mail right through our portal. You pay your portion, we pay ours.
What is the split?
I think it's based on the content of the card. And since just solds and just listeds are like 70% realtor, 30% movement mortgage, I think that's the breakdown on most of them. But it will tell you right on there what the breaks are, what the splits are. You basically have, as being part of the Lux Group, you basically have my permission to order as you see fit. Don't hit me with a $5,000 EDM order, but I'll pretty much pony up whatever you guys are looking for. If you want to do one a month, one every time you list, one every, do it when it makes sense. Don't just sold.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
House. But if you get a good one in a good neighborhood, you guys know what works more than I do probably. So, just don't shotgun everything out there.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's all, we got a lot that we can work with you on. If you want to, sit down with us, talk with us about, ways you can go about it, I can definitely give you the tools to go. Don't try to do everything. It's going to make don't start working on reno and condo and VA and, down payment assistance and everything, but pick your little niches. We can help you grow it out, and it's great products.
Okay. Great. All right. Let's get into kind of our topic for today. This is kind of lends right in well to it, because what we just went over were a few kind of niche programs, as well as kind of he hit quickly on the fact that you can do EDM along with movement mortgage as well. Just have a chat. Someone for you. Can you do non-warrantable condos?
We have a broker outlet for non-warrantable condos, but the number one thing I say on that is let's find out why it's non-warrantable. I would say a majority of non-warrantable condos out there are warrantable. We do everything from pending litigation to high occupancy. The number one thing we actually struggle with is too much of one investor saturation. That's one that they don't really flex on. But again, let's look at it. Let's see if sometimes if the seller is the investor, you can do that deal, you know?
Right.
So there's a lot to be done about it. If it's a blanket, like the developer went bankrupt and it's 3/4 finished and there's pending litigation over who's going to deal with it, like probably not. We'd have to broker that out. But
Okay.
I would say majority of non-warrantables really are warrantable.
Is it what if it's like owner occupancy? Too many renters is the issue.
So occupancy is kind of it's not really a thing. That's an overlay that a lot of lenders will have. You basically need to run it through Condo Project Manager. We can get in. That's a question I'll take offline.
Okay. Yeah. So Deb, reach out to Mike if you want to talk to him about it. I assume I probably can guess what you're talking about. So yeah, reach out to Mike and maybe he can help you with that.
That's very project specific, and it's like I said, it's not really a thing. The saturation point is generally an overlay by the lender that doesn't want to deal with it at a certain level.
For those of you don't know what overlay is, basically a lender saying, well, we want to add this on top, which reduces our risk of
an
exposure.
Overlay is a lender rule, not a agency rule. So
and they do that for risk aversion, I take it?
Exactly. Or buyback. If they've had one particular thing that they don't underwrite well and they've had buybacks on it, the loan the agency kicked it back to them.
So if a lender says we just aren't good at that, which we've proven, then we're just
that's number one reason for overlays. Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Awesome. All right, let's get into it. So in talking about farming, a farm can be a geographic area. A farm can be a niche. I really think that everybody that's in this business should have at least one geographic farm and one niche farm in addition to their sphere of influence farming. Unless you're new, I don't suggest you really try to work on more than one at once. And if you need advice or want to pick my brain on what you think would be the best for you, I'd be happy to kind of go over that with you if you take the time to fill out this form and just kind of answer all these questions. I will post this on the private group so you can print it out and start to work with this. But you really want to identify what area can I work, whether it's a niche or geographic farm, where I start to take actions on a consistent basis that'll put me in front of that group on a consistent basis. I see far too many agents that are just spraying their marketing all over the walls. Like today I'm gonna do this, tomorrow I'm gonna do this, I'm over here, I'm in VA, I'm in Reno, I'm doing first-time home buyers. It's, start to create niches for yourself, because once you start to market to a specific area, typically people aren't buying from you on their first exposure to whatever you're doing. You're not going to, like Mike said, don't do an EDM and call it a day. You're rarely going to get any return on that. If you do, you're lucky. So make sure it's in an area. And even if you're taking listings, just listed, just sold postcards, if you're going to do those through like Prospects Plus, where they'll just mail the 100 closest homes, that's fine. But I think you're better off saying, hey, I'm only going to do it in the areas that I really want a geographic farm. So if you get a new listing in Southbridge and that's not the area you want to work because you're in Holden, then you don't do the just listed postcards for that. But if you get a listing in Holden because you've been marketing that area, then that's where you should focus your effort. So just think of it like, whatever I pick, my niche, my geographic farm, how can I basically get in front of that farm group at least once a month, whether it's a combination of mail, email, social media, geographic, demographic focused, efforts on Facebook, whatever it may be. You want to make sure you start to be repetitive and memorable in that niche that you're working. So the first thing you should do is, start to ask yourself some questions. if you could pick one geographic farm area, what would it be? And why would you pick that area? And, think about that. Like, is it just because you like the homes in that area? Do you have family in the area? Did you grow up in the area? Why? Why are you picking your farm area? And you want to think about it from a perspective of, if you're going to start working it today, are you going to like it today? Or are you going to like it tomorrow as well? If you can't you see yourself, working that farm area for the next 10 years, then, why would you focus on that area? Because honestly, if you're the payoff starts to come in year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So all of us who have watched the market probably close enough. If you're looking at geographic areas and you know that there's realtors that own that area, they didn't own that area overnight. And once they do own it, it's hard to get rid of them. Some of them will eventually walk themselves out of the area. But it's hard to get, but it's also hard to lose. So you want to be ready to work those areas for a long period of time and continue to grow that area. If your farm area or your farm focus was to be something other than a geographic area, what niche market would you focus on and why? We talked about a few of them already. Anybody have any others that would be niches that you would work? Any thoughts?
Mine's definitely investors.
Investors, that's an area. Yeah, investors is definitely an area. It could be new construction. If you like new construction and you've got some knowledge in it, it might be a community organization that you're involved in. If you're involved in a charity, it might revolve around that. If you really, a lot of times for agents, it ends up being a community or it could be, if you have another language, it could be a language focus. It could be the Hispanic community or the Asian community. It could be any of those things. If you have any questions on that, let me know. But there's a lot of different niches that you can work within those kind of differences, whether it's geographic or niche market. It could be equestrian properties. I've seen, some of the ones I've seen out there could be waterfront properties. It could be multifamily investment properties. It could be commercial. It could be condos. It could be first-time home buyers under a certain price level. It could be the high end. But if you start to look at the agents that are successful, and you'll start to see they have a commonality of what they typically, the type of business they tend to get, because they are focusing in a specific area instead of, they say sell to anybody but market to your niche. You never want to spray your marketing all over the world. Certainly, if someone comes forward and wants to sell in another town, but even though your geographic area is in Shrewsbury, then yeah, you sell to them. And you work that business. It doesn't mean you spend your marketing money there. Some other questions you can ask yourself is, what do you enjoy doing when you're not working? It could, whether it's somewhere, where do you spend your time? If you spend your time on the golf course, is it, getting a membership and really getting to know the members there? Is it the gym you work out at? Is it the a parent group, PTO group that you get involved with? Where are you commonly seen? Where do you commonly hang out when you're not working? Those could be niches or areas that you really want to work. Do you have kids in a local school? If you're involved in your kid's school and you're involved in, everything going on at the school, it's a niche area that people are going to get to know you. That, as long as they know what you're doing for real estate, they'll probably consider using you as long as you're, doing it right. Where did you grow up? A lot of agents getting into the business, if they grew up in a certain area and they have not only family and friends in the area, it can be an ease of easing into a market and starting to work a geographic area because people know of them. And, a lot of agents don't even realize how many people they may know in a specific geographic area just because they grew up there. They're like, yeah, I grew up there. And they don't really think about it from a perspective of every single person that they know that may have the ability to help them grow their business in that area. So where did you grow up? What was your previous career? Sometimes your best connections for working either niches or geographic areas are what you were doing for a previous career, and accessing the people that know of you through that niche. Do you have a personal or family history in a geographic area that can help? How many sales have there been in that area? So that once you think you have an area you want to work, you really need to look at the demographics of, is there turnover in those towns or in that portion of town that will support you pursuing that as an agent. So you want to start to look in that geographic area to see how many homes are selling in that area and who's selling those homes. You can run reports through MLS Market Reports that will help you with that. And if you need any assistance with that as well, let me know. I'd be happy to help you with that if you're going to work a specific area. So you want to find out how many homes sold in that area, and you want to start to look at what price ranges sold. One of the tools that you can use, I don't know if you guys have used this too much or not, but the map search in MLS is pretty good if you want to start to even dive into specific areas within towns. I know a lot of people don't use this map search tool, but there's a lot of things you can do with it. For instance, you can look at the sold properties, and you can start to see like a specific area. You could draw a map. So if I kind of zoom in here, and there's a specific area in Shrewsbury I want to work, and I can start to see how many are active, sold, under agreement. I can just draw a box if I want to. So if I come here to the draw button and click on that and say I really want to work kind of, you can either draw a box, that's one way to do it, or you can do a pinpoint. So you can say, I kind of want to go from Maple Ave down here. You click a second time, drag it over. And it'll bring up the results of how many properties have sold in that area, and what the price ranges are, et cetera. You could actually put in a price range as well in the criteria to start to see how many homes are sold in a certain area, and then you could start to see who sold the homes in that area, to start to see if there's any dominant agents. A lot of areas you'll find, specifically in towns like Shrewsbury, Holden, stuff like that, you start to have dominant agents at higher price ranges. A lot of times the lower price ranges.
I pulled the numbers on that last week and you were right.
Yeah, I was right in Shrewsbury. Like under 400,000, there's no real dominant agents.
It's like one person should 3 times.
Right. So that tells me there's probably not many agents that are doing geographic farm marketing in that area. And those people are selling with whoever happens upon their door. It might be a friend or someone they know. They might have been online and looking and said, hey, I need to get a home value. But there may not have been somebody that's in their mailbox every month feeding them information about their neighborhood. There's not nearly as many agents as you would think doing geographic farms and doing it well. Unfortunately, too many agents and people in general these days, it's short attention spans. It's, where's the next client? Where's the next client? And they're in Shrewsbury today and in Springfield tomorrow. I think more agents should be spending time specifically getting into areas and focusing on those areas. So first you can do your kind of demographic search, kind of information gathering through MLS. And then you can start to say, okay, this is an area I want to work. And again, run it by me. I'd be happy to kind of help you figure this out. But you can start to decide, what area do I want to farm market? If you're fairly new in the business, you may, and you don't have testimonials and sales records and stuff like that, you may have a hard time going to a town like Shrewsbury and focusing on the $600,000 plus range. And the higher you go, again, I guarantee probably any town you'll start to see more dominant agents that have put in the time and energy in that town and grown from a lower end to a higher end, or just maybe even live in those neighborhoods, or most of the case probably hang out with the people in those neighborhoods, whether they live there or not. They might be at the same country club, they might be at the same watering holes every week, spending $200 on dinner. That's how people get that kind of business sometimes. But first thing you need to do is figure out an area that, based on my research, there's a good number of sales, and then you can start to find out how many residential homes are in that area. One of the best ways to do that is go to I put the link in here, but the USPS Every Door Direct Mail program. If you basically with EDDM, you basically have to get postcards, whether you did it a co-marketing program with Movement or you did it on your own. You basically have to order cards with the EDDM stamp on them. You basically have to. Do they with yours? They ship to the agent, correct?
So no. So with ours, you will go into my portal. You will pick out the card that you want. Put in the information you want, the right street, the amount, blah, blah, blah. Compliance will just make sure you didn't put anything ridiculous. Yeah. It only takes them a few minutes to approve. While they're doing that, you'll go through, you'll pick your area, you'll pick your, zip code or whatever, pay for it, and then you'll never ever see it. Oh, okay. I would add yourself to the distribution list so you get one as well, so you know when it's gone out. Right. But it's all automatic. They print them, they ship them, they do it all for you.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. If you don't do that, then you basically have to get them, and the first thing you want to do is go down the post office and make sure you understand how they want you to deliver them, because they typically want them bundled by the route. If you went through this process with the USPS and picking your areas within a town, and once you hit continue, it'll take you through. There's basically a summary sheet that you have to print, and it'll tell you how many postcards are in each of those subsegments of that postal route, and you basically have to organize them by route carrier pretty much, so that when you deliver them to the post office, if Joe Schmo carrier has 353 in his route, they're in stacks of 50, with the last one being 3, and they have the front cover sheet on them. So they basically, the reason you're getting the postage so cheap is because you're delivering them in a fashion that the postal person doesn't really have to do anything. So you're taking the work off them and putting it on yourself, or the company that's doing this for you, and that's why you get the cheaper rates. The rates for EDM are 17 cents a piece. So one of the things, with like some of the providers that our agents have used, like gotprint.com is a good one. You can get postcards as cheap as 13 cents. So you can be in a household for 30 cents a house. And if you start to look at, for instance, Shrewsbury. So for instance, if we were looking at Shrewsbury and we thought, this is an area of town we really want to work, you could start to see how it matches up. And I would go on, make sure the demographics you're doing kind of match up with what you're doing on USPS.com. So you start to select the routes, and you can see they're highlighting as I'm moving around the map. It's highlighting the areas, and you can zoom in on this so you can see it closer. But you can see there's basically, these are carriers. These are carriers that are delivering to these sets, and every time you add them, it's adding a number of households in there. So for instance, 3,912 addresses are in this section. So you would want to start to look at it and say, all right, if I'm able to do 3,900 at 30 cents a piece, that's roughly $1,000 a month. If I'm doing it alone, it's $1,000 a month. If you're if you're starting to partner with somebody in that area, whether it's vendors or get a couple vendors on it, for a 6x9 postcard, you could front and back, you could probably fit a couple different local vendors on there that you could have, help you with that marketing, but also get their own name into those local areas. Sometimes your pizza shops and restaurants and stuff that are in those local niches will be interested in doing that kind of co-branding with you, because they wouldn't do it alone, or they don't have the time or energy, but they'd gladly give you a check for a few $100s a month.
And if you're doing it through our marketing portal, I think we pay 30% right off the top, and the cards are already paid for you. So,
okay.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, consider that.
Is there a way? So let's say I'm running that Facebook ad next week, and I get, I don't know, 50 or whatever names that I get, and I want to follow up with them. Obviously, I'm gonna call them, but I want to send them a mailer as well. Is there a way you can pull, like, because they'll be all over the place, and put them into this or that?
No, EDDM. So we have two different mailing options. One, EDDM, you have to hit the routes. You have to hit every household in the route.
Okay.
If you're not doing EDDM, the other option is our bulk mail stamp. So we have a bulk mail stamp now, and you basically, it's the same kind of concept, but you have to mail to a minimum of 200 homes. When you do that, it's 26 cents a piece for the mailing of those pieces, whether it's letter or postcard. There are some size restrictions, so make sure you check with me before you're going to do the bulk mail, but you have to hit 200 homes to hit those. Otherwise, if you're just, we'll talk a little bit about what you're suggesting, and that would be more of I'd call a niche marketing. So right now we're kind of talking about a geographic farm, which there's two ways to kind of go about it. You can go and say, I really want to focus on a specific area in town that has good turnover, that has the kind of houses I want to work, no dominant agents, and I want to hit those houses every month with just listeds, just solds. And again, they don't even have to be your solds. You could be reporting statistics in their area for homes that have sold and say, hey, these 4 homes sold in your neighborhood, and have a mail piece with 98% list price to sale price, 110, all these homes going over asking, and you're just reporting local statistics. Most of people aren't going to even understand that they're not your listings. You're just reporting statistics in that area, which is helpful to people that are thinking, it seems like these houses are going, but they're not necessarily so engaged that they're looking online to see how much they went for. So sometimes you being the provider of the statistics will get you, the looks that you need to kind of grow a geographic area. So kind of, we're talking about a geographic area versus the other thing you can do is a targeted list. So if you were in MLS and you said, I don't really know if I want to target a specific area in town, but I do want to target in Shrewsbury a certain group of people. What you can do is you can do a public record search and create a mailing list of at least 200 homes that you could do the bulk mail with. So if you said, in Shrewsbury, I want to focus solely in Shrewsbury, and I don't want to focus on any home that's sold in the last 5 years, but somewhere between 5 and 12 years ago, that's the last time these properties sold. So if we go back 5 years, that would be, let's say, 1/1/2013. And we're going to go, let's say, 10 years prior to that, or let's say 7 years prior to that. So that'd be, let's say 2005, for instance. Let's just do 1/1/2007 through 1/1/2013. So the last time these properties have sold were in that window. So you're looking for people that, they say people move every 7 to 10 years. These are people that bought a house. They bought it. A lot of them who have bought a home when the market was low. They've got some equity. They may be thinking it's time to move up, move down before the interest rates go haywire again. So you're adding that last sale date range. You can then also add in other criteria into this. You could just do single families. I just want to do single families. Again, it's in Shrewsbury. You could look at size of home. So if you were focusing on, another niche market you could focus on would be move up buyers that are living in a smaller type home. The last time it sold was between 2007 and 2013. So I don't like selling homes less than 1,000 square feet. It gets a little tough sometimes. But they're probably feeling cramped if they have under 1,500 square feet. So somewhere in those size, they're probably typically going to be small capes, small ranches in Shrewsbury. I'm going to add that criteria in. And then, I might add number of bedrooms. I could add value total. So if I say, I don't want homes that are a total mess. I want homes that are fairly decent and sellable. So I'm going to maybe say that my assessed value needs to be at least $230,000. You could do absentee owners as well. That's another niche. Well, let's just keep it at this and see what we have for a list right now in Shrewsbury. There's 366 records. So that's a pretty good list. You're talking about a list of people that, haven't sold, bought at least 5 years ago, but less than 10, who have a certain value, a certain size house in town. Now you could literally download this list and you could create mailers specific to, hey, is it time to move up? Feeling cramped in your home.
Mike, is that something that you're saying? So I fit this criteria. I brought in Shrewsbury in 2010. I could have refinanced. Are people doing that right now and taking the equity and trying to move up, or they're just?
Yeah, I mean, you're hitting two kinds of people. We're getting a bunch of requests for home equity lines for people that want to retain that home, get some of the equity out to buy the bigger place, and then rent the other one out. We're actually seeing a lot of like other family move into the other homes because we're actually getting a lot of calls for like mortgage assumption and different things like that are kind of a pain to handle. But short answer, yeah, we're seeing a lot of these people now start to want to get into the next big property. Because here's another thing, and you guys would know these stats more than I would, but it seems like the luxury stuff isn't going nearly
as quick,
as rampant. Like anything like 600 and up just isn't flying off the shelf like the 250 to 450 is.
Right.
So if you've got someone that has bought a house in Marlboro in 2012 before everything blew up, they might have 200 grand in equity, and for about the same mortgage payment they can now buy like a $600,000 house or something. So we're seeing a lot of those people, but they don't want to get rid of the one that they're in. That's contributing to your inventory problem, especially when rents are so high in the area. So we are definitely seeing the people move up, tap into the equity. I'm not doing a lot of cash out refinances just because the rate market in the past 12 months doesn't lend to it.
So people aren't refinancing into their windows or something like that.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of home equity line requests for that, just again because why are they going to refinance 250 grand at a percent higher when they can pull the 30 grand they need for the windows? Now we are getting a bunch of full-blown renovation refinance requests where people are adding $150,000 additions to the homes that they're in because they can't find. They like the neighborhood, they like the place, and it's like, well, I can either go buy a new house and fight everybody for it and still be at the current interest rate that's a percent higher than what I'm at, or I can, do a renovation refi and build what I need here, and that we're starting to get a lot of requests for.
Right.
But because that product exists, we don't see a ton of straight cash out.
Right. You probably have a lot of people in that window that are just kind of trying to figure it all out. They're like, if we put our house in the market, what do we do? If it sells, where are we going to go? If we don't, or we can't, or they're, I think a lot of us take for granted is someone registers on our website and they think, they don't understand that some of those people are going to be sellers, like you ran into, one of them that's possibly a listing too, is a lot of these sellers, buyers are going online, they're registering, they're looking at daily alerts, they're just kind of sitting there and they're not talking to anybody and not being willing to, because they're just like, I don't see anything I'd want to move into. So yeah, we would consider selling it, but I'm not seeing anything I like. And if I do see something I like, it's gone. So this doesn't feel comfortable to me.
Right.
So they don't even.
And how hard is it to sell when you've got, or how hard is it to offer when you've got to,
when your house is on the market,
sell your house,
right? Right. That's why, I'm trying to, I think the best message you can give to sellers or anybody out there now is, hey, the first thing you need to consider is taking the first step, which is listing your house and making it on your terms. contingent on you finding a house. I mean, there's a lot of buyers. I think too many just think that listing agents are going to want to list their house and get it sold and say, okay, you guys got to find a place to live in the next 30 days, versus just taking a house and putting it on the market and saying it's fully contingent on the seller needing 120 days to try to find a house. You'll have buyers that are coming from rentals, or just are in a situation where they can be flexible. It's not every buyer out there. Yes, if you want 10 offers and you want to accept the best offer, you probably would have to move quickly. But if you're willing to, put on the market and looking for a fair price, and there's buyers out there that'll just say, yeah, I'll give you a few months to find a house. I haven't found anything I like, so I'm willing to secure your house and give you time to find your next house. I think it's just sellers just think, I'm going to put it on and my agent's going to bring me an offer and I'm going to be forced to sell, or, and then it's going to just not feel right, and I'm going to be living in a hotel somewhere. So, but
or worse with in-laws.
Right. So these niches, it can be a move up. You could change this criteria and say, hey, I want last sale date range was from 2007 back through 1995. Those would be people that owned more than 10 years and less than 30 years, let's say. Those would be, people that are maybe 15 years. You say the last time you bought your home was 15 years ago to 25 years ago. If you put in that date range, what would that be? That would be your, and then you'd probably change your size from 1,500 to, say 2,000 plus, and let's just see quickly how many, what this changes to. So if I did 2005 through 1995, let's say, 2,000 plus square feet. Let's just see what we have here. What did I mess up? 2005.
Went backwards to 1995.
Oh, yeah, 2005. So these would be your move down buyers. These would be, hey, I've got a big house. There's a lot of them in Shrewsbury. This goes to show you a lot of people, stay in Shrewsbury a long period of time. All these houses were last sold between 1995 and 2005. Those would be your, hey, my kids are in college now. I got this big house over 2,000 square feet, and, it's too much for the two of us. So think about those kind of homes. That could be a niche market that you go after. The one thing I like about niche groups within a town is if you're picking the 400 homes and they're all the move up or move down, your target message can be directly to what their situation is. They're not going to getting that postcard that that they're probably going to think it's probably just a neighborhood marketing piece, but it's like, hey, are you feeling cramped in your home? And you're hitting in their mind the feeling that they've been having. You're more likely to get an impact with that than if you're just broadcasting an area. But I think both will work. Both have been proven to work. So you need to decide, do I want to be within a full town and going after a niche? Because there's not many of agents out there that are going to be able to say, I can pick, the 12, I think there's like 12,000 residential homes in Shrewsbury. There's not many agents that are going to be able to mail up to 12,000. I don't think anybody's mailing to 12,000 homes. So if you can't hit the whole town, if you can't find a geographic area you really want to target, then maybe you consider doing the move up, the move down, those kind of homes, and targeting all those in town that have that niche. You could then transition it from a niche to a geographic area. If all of a sudden your message is to, your 400 mailers are to, homes that are move up homes, and you're finding that all of a sudden you start getting listings in this area because that's where those homes are, a large quantity of them. And you'll know if you start driving around a town, you're like, this is the built in the 60s and 70s ranches and capes that are lined up one after the other on these streets. You'll find that, okay, well now now that I'm getting some listings and getting some traction in a certain area because of my niche marketing, I can move it over to a geographic marketing. So you could go in a couple different directions with that, and I can certainly help you with that. But you have to start to look at it more than just, you don't want to just pick a farm or a market or a niche area just because, just because. Do some research, make sure it makes sense to what you're doing, and I'd be happy to help with that. How much money can you afford to spend for the next 12 months with getting no return on investment? This is an important question. Too many agents would start something and they'll do it for a couple months and be like, I didn't get anything from it. So then they're going to stop. You got to be willing to spend the time and the money to make it happen. And a lot of times with farm mail marketing specifically, you cannot expect results in the first 8 months, 9 months. You're really just building impressions. And think about it from a perspective of viewer living in that area. You get the first farm marketing, what are you doing? As fast as they may not have even seen your picture the first time. In their mind, they might have seen half of your picture, but they didn't really focus on what you look like even, or what your mail message said, and it's in the trash. The next month, you're like, you might spend a half a millisecond longer looking at that piece before you throw it in the trash. And the next month, you might be like, what's this all about? Throw it in the trash. Next month, you'll be thinking, I am thinking about selling. Yeah, we'll still throw it in the trash. 5th month, you might be like, all right, maybe I'll keep this guy. You know what I mean? He's hanging around. We are thinking about doing something. The only time I would say that you'd have any success with people keeping earlier pieces on is if they're an older generation. You know, your parents, your grandparents that are just, they have every postcard from every real estate agent for the last 4 years. Because someday we're going to be looking to sell, and we got to keep all these postcards in case.
Or if your son's a mortgage lender, and your mom hands you a stack when you go over the house. Like, here's your
Right,
exactly.
Right.
Appreciate that.
Right. But you also want to develop a plan to hit them in multiple avenues. So if you're hitting, if you're doing a certain number of mail pieces, then you probably want to be doing every month doing geographic social media posts in that area too, because if you can get to the point where they're both seeing you in their mailbox and online, it can have an impact. Like, oh yeah, I keep seeing this guy. Well, next month they might keep your postcard because they saw you online. They may still not remember your name, but they might remember your face. So just think about it. You have to develop a plan and work the plan, and do it for at least a year until you start to see something coming from it. Develop a mailing list. We talked about this. You can use the EDTM to do EDM. You can develop a mailing list from MOS as well. If you're going to do the bulk mail, come talk to me about that. I have the instructions for how to do that, how to set up the postcards. Your addresses have to be current resident. It could be a name, John Smith, but it also has to have or current resident, or you just have to do the mailing labels as current resident. Because when they're doing the bulk mail, they don't want to bring the mail back to the post office. They just want to throw it in the mailbox, and they can't do that if it doesn't have current resident on it. So just a couple things you need to think about. That, again, also the bulk mail is also a process too. You collect up your stuff, and you basically have to take it down to Worcester, to the post office that's over by St. Vincent's. I don't know if you guys know where that is, down near the police station in the center of town. And you basically have to go to the front window and pay for your postage, and then bring it around the back and drop it off in the garage door. You think you're going in the back of a warehouse, basically. But that's where they accept all the bulk mail that goes into that system. So now that you're got your target area, develop a plan for how you're going to mail and show your face in that area. What people and businesses are located in and close to the farm market that you need to get to know. Start to develop a list of people that you should know that are influential in that area, that have connections in that area. Develop a list of 15 to 20 businesses that you will visit and network, promote, and add to your database within that market area. So it's important that you get to know them and they get to know you. Like, hey, I'm working this area. This is the area that I'm focusing in for my real estate business. Love to help you out as well and pass referrals back and forth. So it's good to get to know the businesses in that area, that you need to start getting to know the people that live in and work in those areas as well. One one of the trainers that we used to train with said, if you can, do everything you would normally do it in your geographic farm area, even if it's not convenient to you. So even if you don't live in your geographic area and you want to focus in, let's say you lived in Holden and wanted to focus in Shrewsbury. Even though you have a dry cleaner in Holden, if your farm area is Shrewsbury, you probably want to take your dry cleaning to Shrewsbury.
I started to tag the gym on Instagram. I'm in Shrewsbury.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I posted my tag in Shrewsbury.
Yeah. Makes sense. So that you can start to be seen and felt in the area that you're working in. See if any of them want to co-brand geographic farm area marketing. Some of them that would be really helpful to their business. And, developing basically the list of businesses, especially businesses that go hand in hand with real estate. Because really, I think that a powerful presence for you can be to be the resource for everything real estate related in your niche or your geographic farm area. That means when somebody needs a landscaper, you have a list of trusted partners. If they need an electrician, they need a painter, they need a plumber to fix a toilet. If every time they think about real estate, it's, I don't know where I need to go, but I know Bob will have the answer. It's a powerful part of your business when you start to get to that level. Develop a list of town real estate related services you network. We talked about that. Develop a weekly action plan on what you will do to work your farm. This should include the full mail marketing once a month, handwritten notes, time spent face-to-face, being seen in the area. And if you're in the area networking, make sure that they can, see who you are. Wear something that's, whether it's a name tag or a Lux Group shirt or a Lux Group hat, make sure that, people start to see you, because sometimes people will see you in the supermarket and be like, I think that's that real estate guy. But if you're not wearing a name tag or something, they may not say anything. But if you're wearing a name tag, hey, I know you. You're that real estate guy. You keep showing up in my mailbox. And I think it makes it puts out that image of, hey, I'm approachable right now, as opposed to I've got my hat down on my eyes. I got, sometimes you want to be like that. You're coming home from the gym, you're sweaty as hell. You really don't want to talk to anybody. You just want to run in the grocery store and get something to leave. But other times you want to be, hey, I'm approachable today. So think about those things. And, with your farm marketing, you want to allot 20, 30 hours a month, really, to focus on that farm marketing, because everything you do matters. And that includes being active in that area on social media and finding community groups that you can get involved with and post and comment on. There's community forums in every town. You just have to look for them and become part of them and post. Sometimes it's like, hey, I just checked out this great new business that's in town. It's awesome. You guys might want to stop by there. And again, it's just name recognition. Consider starting your own best of or some kind of community page yourself. If there's not really one with a really strong presence, or you don't like what you see on some of them, because some of them honestly get to be bitch sessions, and they're completely full of people that are just kind of whacking each other back and forth. There's one in Shrewsbury.
They just started another one in Shrewsbury.
They did? Somebody did?
Yeah, they started another one, and you have to say that you're not going to say anything bad about anybody.
Yeah, there's one that's literally people are on there whacking each other's nuts all day long, and it's nasty. People are like, just like,
there's Shrewsbury's moms, and then there's the real Shrewsbury's moms.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah, so find those, and whatever you do, be positive. Don't be the naysayer. But one of the things, and even if you don't go as far as having a best of page, but you have your business page, doesn't mean you can't go out and start promoting the town and the geographic area that you work in. And if you pick a place a week to stop by and visit the owner and say, hey, I'm here with the owner, and tag that owner in it, and just say, hey, share it on, ask them to share it on their business page. But if you're promoting a local business, a lot of people don't want to promote themselves. they want to promote their business. They don't want to necessarily say, hey, come to my business. But if someone else is promoting their business, it's a natural way for you to get referrals back. You say, hey, this business has been in town for 30 years. This is where I go with my dry cleaning. And you tag them in it. Not only are you helping promote their business, but you're connecting to people that you may not be connected to in that community that want to support that community. There's a real, obviously we've all seen it. There's people want to support local. They want to see their towns thriving. They want to see the local small businesses in town surviving. So anything you can do to promote that and in that farm market will help you as well. Any other thoughts on ways to geographic farm and start to work niches? I mean, in general, you just kind of have to figure out what area you want to work, what niche you want to work, and you have to figure out a plan to attack it.
Definitely have a plan. That's my number one thing, and that's what I tell all my guys that I hire is, I had one guy that wanted to do some condo stuff down on the Cape, and he did it from November to like March 1st, and he's like, I'm not getting anything out of it. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? You're gonna quit something on the Cape on March 1st? Right. You know what I mean?
For a condo project?
Yeah, for a condo, like for trying to get condo business, like that's just poor business planning, if you ask me, to start something when everybody flees the Cape. So,
right.
Just make sure that you're doing stuff that makes sense. And one of the better sales books that I ever read was a part of Sandler Sales. It was, the Sandler Sales Wave. You can Google that and you can find information on it.
What is it?
Sandler Sales Wave.
Okay.
And it's a business to business oriented thing, but that's kind of relatively unimportant because the whole thing is just about, if you're trying to get to a decision maker and you're emailing them, just emailing them probably is not going to work. So his suggestion in this scenario to get to a C-level executive is email them, FedEx them something, call his secretary, have 4 or 5 different avenues that you can exploit to get in front of him. And the more that he hears it from different avenues, the more you're eventually going to get that look. So if you're doing something like Every Door Direct Mail, we have a lot of people that then do their Facebook targeting posts in the same area. So they're getting their postcard, then they're logging on to Facebook and they're seeing their impression that way. So there's 2 ways that you're getting in front of them. You can, if you're getting hyper focused on Facebook targeting, you can dump more into it to make sure people see it multiple times. And then you're also sending the postcard, and then you have an event in the area and you have your flyer at the grocery store. That's a great way to have someone go from 0 to 60 on seeing your face all the time.
Right.
Downsizers, the number one person I have successful with getting people to downsize, and I don't see a ton of business from this because quite often you'll get downsizers that just have the cash once they sell to do it. But a lot of them are really behind on investments and retirement. So a lot of their financial planners with interest rates still in the high 4s are saying, let's take that bucket of money from the sale, invest it, and finance the house, because you're going to out return what you're borrowing in many cases, depending on the age. But what's the number one objection of someone downsizing? My parents are looking to downsize. They've had their house since '83. Whenever I ask my mom about it, where am I going to go? Okay. So a good way to market downsizers is have that nice 55 plus condo project in the area and hit them with that, because that's going to get them off of moving. So point is, have a plan, make sure it makes sense, and do multiple avenues that kind of work together. If you're doing veterans, go to the VSO officers, but don't neglect the local VFWs. If you drop stuff off there and go in that area. If you're hyper focused on VA, you probably have some family or military experience background, some service in the family somewhere. So use that, where are people congregating? And if you have the VSO officer and you're in the VFW, your kind of face is getting around. It's different avenues, different things. So point is that I would say is have a plan, multiple avenues, and don't just sit back and wait. You know, a lot of the stuff that we do, the mailings, the Facebook stuff, that I would consider that passive advertising or passive marketing. Rarely does someone pick up the phone and call me from that, you know, but it once I do get in front of them, now the call to action is there and they've seen me and they feel like they know me and they know the brand. And
Right.
that's when you'll get that conversation. So
Right. Exactly.
That's just my 2 cents.
Right. And not to say that you can't do this, but you know, anybody that's using Facebook or social media for part of their business, I think should be anybody you come into contact with, you should be friend requesting, so that, you know, because they want to do business with you. They want to feel like they know you personally, even if it's just been a fly in the night passing. I wouldn't even consider it wrong to take your 200, if you've got 200 homes you're focusing on in Shrewsbury, look them up on social media. How many people in that list can you just, you know, Facebook their name and Shrewsbury, Mass, and find them and friend request them? And, you know, a lot of people don't treat their Facebook that privately, and they're going to accept your request. You'd be surprised how many people would accept your request if you just friend request them on Facebook. The other thing is you might find out that you have common friends. And then even if you do have common friends or common connections, then the chances of them accepting your friend request are even better. To the point where now you may not be directly messaging them yet, saying, hey, if you're thinking about buying or selling, but they're getting mail pieces from you every month, and they're seeing you on Facebook with your regular postings, and it's building up that brand recognition. And you want to think about it like that, like at how do I get from this group or this niche or this geographic area not knowing me at all to knowing I'm a real estate guy in this area, or I'm a real estate gal in this area. And if there's anything real estate, that's who I should consider going to. So you got to think about it from that perspective of how do you get known. And if you don't have a lot of listings yet, there's other ways. There's mail, and it certainly helps once you start getting a certain number of listings in a certain area. You'd be far better off, you know, focusing in one area and getting 3 listings in one, you know, half a mile radius in a town than if you got 3 listings in 3 different towns. Pretty much nobody will know you exist if you only have 1 sign in town. And if you get 3 signs in town, all of a sudden, wow, you know, people are seeing your name over and over again. That's why, you know, even from a standpoint of the for sale arrows, I think it makes sense to get the for sale arrows and the open house sign arrows with your picture on them and your name, because again, you know, it's more sign recognition. It's more repetition in the area that you really want to work. So that's all I have for today. I will post the stuff on the private Facebook group so you guys have access to this write-up and stuff. And then we'll, if we don't have any other questions, I think I had another question on here. No, it was a while ago. So anything else, let me know. And if you guys need help with deciding on a farm market area, let me know, and we'll be glad to help. Thanks.